Painting his bathroom, putting up wallpaper, and other jobs like that were what I did for him. At the time, I wasn't a very good performer. It was always Ellis who told me stories when he got home from work, and he'd say stuff like this. "Oh, Kelsey," he'd say. Kelsey Grammer played Frasier Crane for more than 20 years. In 2004, when it was time to end the show, he knew just how the story should end. Wrote the whole ending around a different kind of goodbye. One look and NBC officials said they wouldn't film it. They'd rather have something safe. Something that wouldn't make people feel bad would do. In Grammer's version, there was no trip to Chicago, no romantic reunion, and no exit that was clean. In fact, it showed Frasier stuck in Seattle, trying to deal with decisions he couldn't change. Granger, who is 70 years old, is finally telling the network why he worked so hard for that ending and why they were afraid to let him tell that story. The story of Kelsey Grammer starts in Charlotte, Amalie, in the Virgin Islands, on February 21, 1955. It was a warm day. Greer's Place was the name of his dad's coffee shop and bar, and his mom danced in local shows, so the nights were always loud and full of music. As a child, he heard calypso and reggae music in the streets and saw lots of people meet for the island's colorful festivals. He often went to his mother's shows with her. One time, he felt something start to wake up inside him as he watched her dance backstage. He liked how the stage looked with the lights on. He liked how people changed when they played a part. He became attached to those early times, and over time he started to copy the acts he saw. It seemed normal, like the stage was calling him even before he knew what it meant to act. When he was only 2, everything changed. After he and his mother split up, his mother quickly packed up their things and left the islands with Kelsey and Karen, his little sister. That's where they moved to. Life got harder there, far from the warm nights he remembered. His mom had 2 or 3 jobs at once. It was hard for her to keep the family alive in a small apartment because she was so tired. Kelsey felt a dull ache in his chest because his father stayed behind in St. Thomas. He kept thinking why his family had broken up so badly as he got older. Still, his mother pushed him toward the arts, even though things were tense at home. He felt stable every time he watched someone act at a community play or a small theater that she took him to. The stage was the first place where he could understand how he felt. He was already trying to copy the moves he saw on the Virgin Islands when he was 5 years old. His mother liked it when he copied her movements, so she encouraged it. The teachers at school saw that he was different. He lived in his lines, not just said them. He quickly rose to fame thanks to his ability, and he soon found himself in school plays and community shows. Years later, when he got to Pinecrest School in Fort Lauderdale, all of the teachers there thought he could do great things. They encouraged him to do better, and their faith led him to study Shakespeare at Juilliard and learn how to let his feelings flow through him precisely. He was there with peers like Robin Williams who would go on to become stars. But even in a place made for young artists, he felt like something darker was pulling him down. When he was 11, his grandfather died. Lost the man, who was firm and warm, opened a wound that never fully healed. It felt safe for Kelsey to pour out his sadness in books and plays, especially Shakespeare's. He spent more time in them. He had somewhere to go with his pain when he put on those tragedies on stage. But that sadness was just the start. When he was 13, his father was killed in a strange home invasion in St. Thomas in 1968. He was shocked by the news. He hadn't seen his dad much since the split, but the thought of death made him feel sad all the way to the bottom of his heart. He heard bits and pieces about the murder from family members who were trying to put it all together. It was very violent and hurt a lot. It left a mark on him that would last his whole life. From then on, every time he went on stage, his voice had a weight to it, a sadness that people could feel even if the script didn't ask for it. The tragedies didn't stop when he became an adult. When he started at Juilliard in 1973, he had every reason to think he was on the right track. In May 1975, he played the lead role in Chekhov's The Seagull. He brought passion and focus to every scene. But after only a few weeks, life broke open again. At the age of 18, his sister Karen was taken from the Colorado Springs Red Lobster where she worked. Before leaving her in an alley, the men who took her bound her, beat her, and stabbed her 42 times. As she tried to get away, she dragged her hurt body more than 400 feet, leaving marks on the ground from where she had fought. After reading the police reports and court papers, Kelsey was shocked by how horrible it all was. He could never get those pictures out of his mind. He later said that realizing what she went through almost broke him. He stopped going to school. His mind was blank. In the end, Juilliard kicked him out. The future he had planned for himself became unclear all of a sudden, and his sadness turned into something heavier. Over the next few years, he lost two half-brothers in an accident while scuba diving in 1980. One body washed up on the shore. No one ever found the other one. There were rumors of sharks, but nothing was proven. Not having closure made the pain he was already feeling even worse. He used drugs and booze to deal with things. With drugs, he numbed the parts of himself he didn't want to face when he was 20. He drank a lot and tried everything to block out the memories for 15 years, from Valium to mushrooms. Even though his work was great, he was coming apart behind the scenes. He kept getting in trouble with the cops. He was charged with DUI, having cocaine, and nights he couldn't even remember. He went to rehab, including the Betty Ford Center, even though he often said he didn't really think he had a problem. There was more to the story than that. His sadness was tied to his addiction, and when he finally broke free, he had to face feelings he had tried to hide for years. He kept getting better at his job even though everything was going wrong. In 1984, Mandy Patinkin helped him get the part of Frasier Crane on the TV show Cheers. There were only going to be a few shows of his part, but people loved his dry humor and how he clashed with the other characters. He stayed longer because producers liked him, and by 1987, he was in the main group. Even though things went badly in his personal life, he kept up his work. The fourth season was the first time he was nominated for an Emmy. The fame came at a time when he was getting arrested and using drugs, but his ability kept him on the show. When he was pulled over in North Hollywood in 1988, his license plates were already outdated. He told the police that the cocaine they found was his. The arrest made the news, which added to the story that a star was losing control. He agreed to be on probation, go to rehab, and be under house arrest. But staying sober wasn't easy. Some relapses happened in secret, behind closed doors. The producers tried to help him, and sometimes they had to delay shooting to give him time to get better. But the fight went on for years. Still, chances kept coming up. A split episode of Wings and Frasier in 1992 gave fans a taste of the idea of a Frasier spin-off. That time. Filmed during another rough time, it led to the next part of his career. Millions of people watched Frasier's first episode on NBC in 1993. Almost 20 million people watched it every week for 5 seasons. Because it was shown all over the world, the show made more than $1 billion. By 1998, the character was shaped by Kelsey, who also directed shows and sang the theme song at the end of every show. He became one of the best-paid actors on TV because of how popular he was. Even though his work was going great, his personal life was still hard. It hurt a lot when his second marriage ended because of claims, fights, and a pregnancy that ended in heartbreak. The press were all over him, and the story made things even worse. His daughter Greer, who was born in 1992, became famous on MTV's Awkward. But until she was 16, her father and daughter didn't see each other again after being apart for a while. Behind the scenes of Frasier, there were also problems with creativity. The character Niles wasn't on the show at first. A Manhattan apartment and a moody needy immobile were part of an early plan for a very different idea. But networks saw Cheers as a way to build. And David Hyde Pierce's chemistry with Kelsey changed the whole tone of the show when he joined the group. The show was able to run for so long because it kept things light and positive. It is now one of the most beloved comedies in TV history. Between 1999 and 2004, Kelsey Grammer came to work on Frasier as a man who was at the top of his game on TV and as someone who was facing battles that no one else could see. He was in charge of the awards season back then. Carol O'Connor held the record for the most primetime Emmy Awards for Best Lead Actor in a Comedy Series, which he tied with 4. And J. Michael Fox. He was nominated for both an Emmy and a Satellite Award in 1999, but lost both. For someone so successful, this may not seem like a big deal, but even those early losses made things tense behind the scenes. Off-air, the radiotherapist always had the right line, but on set, people saw something different. He was said to have used cocaine and alcohol, which caused output delays and government interference. When he lost control of his behavior, cast members and directors kept stepping in. Many of them thought it had something to do with the murder of his sister in 1975, which was much older and darker. That pain didn't start to hurt in the 1990s. His slide into addiction began a long time before Frasier. From the late 1970s until now, it had been going on for at least 15 years of his life. Around the middle of the 1980s, Cheers made him a well-known name. He was already drinking a lot and using cocaine every day. Later, probation reports said he began drinking when he was only 9 years old. This makes all the jokes about sherry and wine on screen seem less funny. When cops pulled him over in North Hollywood in 1988, they found a 1/4 gram of cocaine on him. He spent 30 days in jail, 10 days cleaning up the street, and got a mark on his record that had nothing to do with how he looked on TV. In 1990, 2 years later, he was caught again for having cocaine on him. The court put him on probation for 3 years, fined him $500, and made him do 300 hours of community service. He told the judge in 1991 that he was still using cocaine, which was against the terms of his probation and added 2 more years behind bars. Cheers and then Frasier tried to work like well-oiled machines, but his missed practices and mood swings kept throwing off the gears. Many times, co-workers stepped in, talked to him for a long time, and begged him not to fall off the edge. He said that during those years, there was a voice in his head that told him to stop, but he couldn't make it out. He said later that those 15 years were just years he had lost. Then one of the scariest alarms went off. His Dodge Viper crashed in Agora Hills in September 1996 while he was drunk behind the wheel. His car went off the road, cutting him and giving him slight injuries. He was arrested again. The results did not stay secret this time. He went to the Betty Ford Center to start a 4-week treatment to help him get better. Even though the show was at its best, work on Frasier stopped for a month. The struggles he was having were made public by the news. The company and the network both said they were there to help him get better. His co-workers came together to support him. For many viewers, it was the first time they knew that the man who played the most controlled character on TV was having a very tough battle off-screen. The trend didn't go away right away, even after that rehab stay. In April 2003, just as Frasier was coming to an end, he was pulled over in Malibu for driving while drunk. He refused to take a sobriety test and told the police that he was just tired, but it was clear that he was drunk. His probation was extended, and more stress was put on him at a time when he should have been enjoying a long, successful run. In the movie, Dr. Frasier Crane was ending a famous trip. Outside of movies, Kelsey Grammer was still trying to get his life in order. All of that made the May 2004 series ending feel even more important. Goodnight Seattle aired on May 13 that year, and about 25.3 million people watched it. Some reports say it was even higher, around 33 million. If true, that would make it one of the most watched sitcom endings of the decade and the 11th most watched in the history of television shows. He went to Chicago to find love because of the story. And a fresh start. A lot of people don't know this, but Grammer had planned a darker finish where Frasier never left Seattle. Something more dark and personal, but the network turned it down. The episode marked the end of 11 seasons and 264 shows of TV that had won 37 Emmy Awards. The last scenes were a goodbye to a smart and comforting character for the viewers. For Grammer, they came after years of chaos, rehab, relapse, and just getting by. Power and money put a different kind of stress on things. During the height of Frasier's popularity in 2001, Grammer asked for a huge pay raise. Because he wanted $700,000 per show, he was one of the best-paid actors on TV. That move didn't go over well with everyone. There were talks going on that could have ruined season 9 completely. Peri Gilpin, who played Roz, is said to have felt very undervalued when she saw how much less she was paid than he was. Things got worse. People on the lot could tell that he wasn't getting along with some of the group. Even though the show went on, that fight changed things. Later, some cast members said that was when the set stopped feeling like a family. The awards kept coming in at the same time. It was his second Golden Globe win for Best Actor in a TV series, musical or comedy, in 2001. Another sign that people in the business still thought he was one of the best actors on TV. But he wasn't just looking for comic awards, he was also looking for something deeper. That search led him to The Showboss, which ran on Showtime from 2011 to 2012. He played a crooked mayor who was also dealing with Parkinson's disease. Many people liked his work, and he was even nominated for another Golden Globe. He cared so much about the show that he oversaw the production of all 18 episodes to try to keep it going. Even though he worked hard, the show was cancelled after only 2 seasons, leaving plots unfinished. Failure and praise were once again next to each other. During these years, he played parts in movies that were the same mix of happy and sad. When he played Beast in X-Men, The Last Stand, 2006, and then again in Days of Future Past, 2014, the idea seemed like it would work out great. He was smart, had a good voice, and seemed serious enough to play Hank McCoy. Many fans and reviewers thought he was squished into the wrong version of the character. People said this Beast didn't look like the strong, funny person they thought it would be. Instead, they said it looked like a stiff, worried scientist with almost no presence. It was made fun of that the blue CGI looked like a smooth werewolf, and his fight scenes looked. It was flat and clearly wired. People who wrote reviews said that he didn't have many great lines or scenes that really belonged to him. Some people didn't like the movie very much, about 22%, on Rotten Tomatoes, and some said the way Beast was portrayed was forgettable and a waste of a great character. Later, Grammer admitted that he was upset with the performance and said that he hoped to get another chance to do the role right one day. Being funny kept giving him better tools. He played an over-the-top, hilariously unqualified doctor on 30 Rock in 2007 and 2008. His short run was so good that he got the Emmy for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series that year. It was the kind of slick performance that made everyone remember why he was such a TV star in the first place. However, when he made Transformers: Age of Extinction in 2014, which was a big hit, people were angry again. People who saw him play Harold Attinger said that his acting was flat and unconvincing. The movie did very well at the box office, but many people thought it was one of the best in the series. And the man himself was picked out as one of its weak points. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a score of about 18%. He went from having a guest part on a smart comedy that won an Emmy to a role in a big robot show that got a lot of bad reviews in just a few years. His job was going in that direction now. He might be great at one part of the business but really bad at another. He had been starting and stopping for years, but one idea kept pulling him back. He was interested in bringing Frasier Crane back to TV. Since about 2018, he had been pushing for some kind of rebirth. Finally, in October 2023, Paramount Plus showed the first episode of the new Frasier. The story now takes place in Boston. Frasier came back to see his son Freddie, played by Jack Cutmore Scott. He was greeted by new people, such as a young therapist played by Keiko Jenna and a bar owner played by Tox Aligandosh. Reviews for the first season were mixed. Many critics said the show missed the old chemistry, especially the interaction between Grammer and David Hyde Pierce as Niles, who decided not to return. Some liked seeing Grammer in the role again and praised his timing. After all that, the recovery kept going. The reboot had 20 shows spread out over 2 seasons, running from 2023 to 2024. When Season 2 came out in late 2024, each show had an average of 4 million viewers. In the busy world of streaming, that number was good, but not amazing. Ratings went down after the first season, making it harder to defend that gap. It was hard for the show to go on without some important original cast members, and the memories couldn't save it all. Paramount Plus finally ended the reboot in January 2025, after only 2 seasons. They said it was because not enough people were watching and there wasn't enough support for advertising. The choice hurt fans and group members a lot. A lot of people thought the show was getting stronger and were already making plans for the next season. Grammer didn't say anything. He said in public that the leaders at Paramount were to blame for the reboot because the original supporter of the project had left the company and the new team that took over wasn't fully committed. He said they put in a good effort, but they weren't really into the job. CBS Studios began to shop the show to other networks and platforms, and Grammer made it clear that he still hoped Frasier's story would go on in another place. He was already thinking about ending as that blow hit him. In an interview in November 2025, he talked about how he would like Frasier to end. Instead of just retiring, Frasier would be seen teaching his grandson life lessons in his version of events. He talked about Tennyson's poem Ulysses and the line about striving, looking, finding, and not giving up. He said that he wanted the character to feel like he still had adventures to come. He said that NBC had turned down a similar plan with a legacy theme before for the first ending, but he never gave up hope that this was the right way to end the story. He gave the impression that if any Cheers cast members came back in future stories, it would only be if they helped Frasier's journey. He wanted people to feel like this man's life kept going forward instead of ending. In the background of all this work was a personal life that looked as complicated as any TV plot. He got married 4 times between 1982 and 2011 and had 8 children. In 1982, he married dancer Doreen Alderman. The next year, they had a daughter named Spencer. Their relationship ended quickly, and after 2 years of being together, they split up. However, the formal end did not happen until 1990. Spencer grew up and became an actress, known for her work on Greek and as Summer on Rick and Morty. In October 2011, she gave birth to their first son, Emmett. At the same time that his marriage to Camille turned public, he became a grandfather. Spencer got married to fireman James Heskett in 2011, but they split up in 2017. During all of this, Grammer has said nice things about his grandson and has even worked with Spencer. For example, they played father and daughter in the Lifetime movie The 12 Days of Christmas Eve in 2022. He married Leanne Sohaney for a short time in 1992, but it was hard on both of them. They were together for less than a year. He tried to get the marriage thrown out when Leanne was about 3 months pregnant and kicked her out of their house. He said she was violent and that she had shot at him with a gun. It was said that the pregnancy ended in a miscarriage, but most people didn't know much about it for a long time. Later, another part of their relationship came to light when their child Greer, who was born outside of marriage and was kept secret from the public, showed up on the television show The Hills. It was another reminder of how much trouble was going on behind the smooth conversation. Then there was one of the most well-known reality TV weddings. He married Camille in 1997. People around the world knew her from her role on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. They didn't have a prenuptial agreement, which was a big mistake. Mason and Jude were their 2 children together. They were both born through surrogacy in 2001 and 2004. When Camille found out that he was having an affair with flight attendant Kate Walsh in July 2010, she filed for divorce. It became one of the most publicized divorces in Hollywood history. In the press, both groups made accusations. It was Camille who called him a narcissist. He said she turned in the papers the day his mother died. Kate and Grammer have been together for a long time and have a healthy relationship. They got married in February 2011 and started having kids right away. In 2012, their daughter Faith was born. Their first child, Gabriel, was born in 2014. Then, in 2016, they had another son called Auden, who is also known as James and is named after the poet W. H. Auden. Auden and guitar player James Taylor. They have a total of 4 children together. He has said many times that becoming a father again later in life has made him happy, even though it has added more tasks to his already busy and well-known life. They are still married as of 2025. He is the father of 8 kids altogether. Spencer from Doreen. Greer talked about his friendship with Lee and Mason and Jude from when he was dating Camille. Faith, Gabrielle, and Auden from his marriage to Katie. Even after he and Camille split up, the family web kept growing. She got married to David Meyer in 2018. In a big service in Hawaii, where her Real Housewives co-stars and Mason and Jude, who played important parts in the wedding, were present. A lot of people wrote about the event, which was another part of the ongoing story of a blended family that never goes out of the news for long. His family's tragedies are also deeply rooted in his addiction. This is the story that formed so much of his pain. He writes about it in his 2025 book Karen, A Brother. In July 1975, his younger sister Karen was taken away. She was 18 years old. He and his friends raped and stabbed her 42 times. His name is Freddie Glenn. In the book, Grammer writes about the horrible things that were done to her in her last hours and how that loss broke his life. He talks about reading a letter against Glenn's parole at a meeting, telling the board and the killer how angry and sad he was still. He writes that he drank and used drugs not only to dull the pain, but also to sit in it instead of running away from it. He says that part of him wanted to give up and sink with that feeling. His memoir makes it clear that his recovery is not a neat finish, but a process that will last his whole life. The wound opens up again every time the parole system changes or new information comes out. But sometime in the 2010s, he started to get his life back on track. Having faith and a new sense of purpose helped him get better, he has said. He doesn't talk about recovery as a goal, but as a choice that he makes every day. When he hasn't relapsed in a long time, he is still careful because he knows that the urge he fought for years will never go away. His story of drug abuse is not a flag of victory. It's a lesson that sometimes all you have to do to stay alive is keep doing the right thing, one day at a time. Then politicians came along and caused a new kind of chaos. During 2016, most Hollywood stars stayed away from Donald Trump. But Kelsey Grammer went the other way. He backed Trump in public and said he didn't have many issues with his ideas. He chose to vote for him twice, in 2016 and 2020. He told BBC Radio 4 in 2017 that Trump was doing what he said he would do, and he seemed happy about that. His backing didn't change after the riot in the Capitol on January 6. He didn't change where he was when many people in the business spoke out against it even more. In 2023, Trump was getting ready for another run, and Grammer was pushing the new Frasier show on BBC's Today. He was asked straight out in the interview if he still backed Trump. He gave a simple answer, "I am," and that was the end of it. Paramount Plus Public Relations then stepped in and ended the talk. Later, the reporter said that Grammer seemed fine talking about politics, but the streaming service didn't want that part of the conversation to take away from the new show. The moment showed how his personal beliefs were at odds with the entertainment industry's desire to keep its goods out of trouble. He did even more in May 2025. In an interview with PBS, he said that Trump might be the best president ever and praised what he saw as the focus on the average person. In the middle of Trump's second term, things were going badly with tariffs and the stock market. Even so, Grammer argued that he thought the bigger picture was good. Later that year, in December 2025, at the Kennedy Center Honors Dinner, he said it again, "Trump is extraordinary and one of the best leaders our country has ever had." Some people in the room cheered, while others were angry. His comments caused more discussion. Some people praised him for being brave for saying what he thought, while others said he was way out of touch. He kept coming back to the same idea, being real is more important than being famous.